So for me personally, there is a select number of Nollywood films that I take my time to try and watch on Netflix. Like if they make it to Netflix, there is some likelihood they have some credibility in terms of story, shoots, and many other aspects. When I travel, most of the time, that's when I leave the TV on and watch Nollywood films, like mainstream Nollywood films. And I see a lot of things which to me are so weird. I actually just put them on in those periods just to see what's going on, how the films look, how they sound like. And because I don't want to use too much of brain energy when you just want a simple thing to watch. But even for watching simple films, I feel there are key things that we should maintain as standards. And that's the reason why today I want to talk about 5 weird things I believe Nollywood continues to bring to our screens. Number 1, glorifying sexual laxity. It is so common in Nollywood films. In the past, Nollywood had this thing where there were repercussions for actions, whether it's even in the part of doing juju, which I don't encourage us to show so much of, but there were repercussions for a very wicked person, a very loose person, someone who betrays another. Now you just write stories where you're just watching all manner of things on the screen. There's no repercussion for the action. Like, what exactly are you trying to pass in the story? One cannot really tell. Number 2, explain to me how and why, even in an epic film, an Igwe's son will be wearing tattoos and earrings. Like, how is that a reasonable part of the costuming? In some cases, you even have the old men wearing chains and earrings and weaving their hair. Where are the manly men? Like, we are running out of manly men. I don't know if that makes sense. Why are you wearing earrings? Why do you have tattoos? Why are you keeping your hair, plaiting hair? Like, are people like losing their identity? And besides, what's the significance of that dressing to the story? How does it progress the story? How does it add to the story? Because if we want to make good films, we should be able to, every single thing matters, you know, every move someone makes. If someone looks a certain way, someone dresses a certain way, it adds up to the story. But we just have all of these funny things on our screens, and a lot of people expose themselves to this. So how else won't we see people on the streets who come out looking that way? Personally, I'm not a fan of a man wearing earrings, chains, tattoos, looking all funny. I mean, just look like a man should look. Proper, decent, well-mannered, not come off looking funny, and then these things are showed in the films. Another angle to that is you have the ladies in these films always wanting to look perfect 24 hours a day. Like, tell me why you're waking up early in the morning and you have makeup on. That is not reasonable. Like, must you look perfect? Must you look perfect because you're on the screen? Even the people writing and directing the stories, like, is it that you don't know your job? You allow, or is it the actors that are actually your bosses, so they tell you what they want to do? It doesn't make sense. It's like when you're watching those things that just insulting your senses. Now, another point that ties to the whole sexual laxity thing is I see so many explicit scenes in our Nollywood movies, and they don't have any way they even progress the story. You can tell a story without having two people be all intimate with themselves, almost like you're watching. I don't want to go into the details to avoid vulgarity, but you get the picture. Why is that in the story? And the funny thing is, you're watching the Nollywood films back to back from one station to the other, and you're seeing the same storylines. It's even more shocking to me that these actors, you go kissing this person and that person, mwah, mwah. Are you people not afraid of herpes of the mouth or whatever it is they call it? I feel that as an actor or an actress, you should have some standards, you should have some boundaries. They give you a script. If this doesn't look like it aligns with you as a person or your values, why the hell are you in the film? Like, do you have to be on screen? There's so many other ways to tell your own stories. The world right now gives you opportunity. There's YouTube, there's so many other platforms. You don't have to just accept any script thrown your way. Why? What is the essence of explicit scenes from one film to the other? And a lot of parents are watching these things with their children present, and you don't think they are picking up the wrong behaviors. Why should it be in the film? Because you often find it doesn't have any correlation with the story. Let's even say perhaps it does. There are so many ways to tell a story that you give the audience an idea of what happened without necessarily showing us all manner of things in their glories, you know. So I think that's just weird. That's weird, and it's excessive. That's the problem. It's excessive. If we had just one or two producers doing that, we'll know, okay, you can choose not to see that. But when you turn on your TV and this is all you keep seeing, it doesn't make sense. Number 4 weird thing I feel I see often is cliche lines. Like, you can tell what an actor is going to say and the reply they are going to get from one film to the other. You can always predict it. You can know where somebody is going to say what? You can know where somebody is going to say, oh my God. We need uniqueness on our screens. That's my point. You know, it doesn't have to be from one film to the other. We can guess the lines, we can guess the storyline. What's the essence of a film? It should be entertaining, yes, but give us something authentic. Yes, I think that's what I'm trying to say. Give us something authentic. You know, someone gets proposed to, they go opening their mouth, they are just over expressing. That is not acting. Like, go to a proper acting school or study good and great actors. What's all that? So very guessable lines. Sometimes you're almost saying the lines for them as if you wrote the script with them, because you're already used to shallow dialogues. My friend here just reminded me, shallow dialogues. That's like a very good way to put it. Shallow dialogues. Dialogue, there are films you watch, the dialogue is moving you. You're like, who wrote this script? You know? So we should have more of that. Entertainment is huge in Nigeria, so we ought to have good stuff on our screen. I know I am one of the minorities that may be talking about this or concerned about it, but it still needs to be said. Number 5, as far as I am concerned, Nollywood sometimes just exhibits blatant abuse of people's religions, whether it's Christianity or Islam. You're portraying, you know, pastors, churchgoers with very funny, weird behavior. Again, with no repercussion to this. You just show the film to the end. There's nothing you can really pick or pinpoint. You show churches. You just make a mess of the religious settings. Yoruba films too do this a lot with Islam. You see a so-called imam or religious head visiting a babalawo. You will see someone in very tight clothing with hijab. How does that, like, even when you're doing your research, I mean, I just believe we do a lot of lazy work around our films, because it's just reasonable that you should know which setting belongs to what costumes belong to who, how certain persons dress, and the things you simply should not keep on abusing. Now, I'm not saying films cannot be used to bring out the ills where religion or faith is concerned, but I'm saying in this case, it just comes off as blatant abuse of people's religions and their senses and their faiths. That's my opinion around all this. So I think I have spoken with so much passion so much passion around these 5 points. I think Nollywood can do better, producers should do better, the scripts that you're bringing to us should be better, actors should do better, and I hope to make my own film someday and not make these same mistakes. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to continue watching The 5 with Maryam. See you next time.